All right. Well, I got a little time to hang out on this Sunday, I guess holiday weekend or whatever, Memorial. Whatever. I'm gonna do a little market update. So be patient here. I may take a little time, but obviously I'm gonna look at this from the view of the 19. So I'll be going over some of the way that I use the 19 over this, and just take a look across the market, see what we see. Hopefully, some people that are interested come in and ask questions. You're welcome to come in and ask any questions. So I'm just gonna go over a brief update. So yeah, let's enjoy the ride this Sunday morning, evening, wherever you're at. Alrighty. So hold on, let me move this back because I ain't used to working on the left. There we go. Just a minute here. All right, so here we go. Let's see. What I got it on XRP, obviously, because most people who know me from the XRP community. So I guess this is probably just a good place to start as any. Um, we'll start with where we're at today, right? Before we look back and look at any historical performance, we're just going to take a look at where we're at in this moment in time. So I'm starting off on a monthly chart, as you can see. And according to the monthly chart, before I switch it, since I'm here already, we can obviously see, according to the strategy that I use, the kind of obvious thing here is our last highest numbered EMA became actually our support, right? And so that's very important. Just one moment, please. All right, I'm back. So as I was saying, you can obviously see that our highest numbered EMA, right, actually accurately identified where our lowest support was, right? So that's very important. Another thing as we go through in time, right, we're judging everything by this 19. So the 19 is always going to be this bold yellow line. We see how the three brought us down, started making these ups and downs on the monthly. But the important thing now is we've made it back through these consecutive EMAs, which act as resistance as you're moving forward. So this is a strong move here. We got above the 19, but as normal, we needed to hold it. So we lost it here, and then it went searching for support, caught an EMA, and we're back above here and above the three. So the obvious thing that we're looking at from a monthly standpoint is to get back above here, which is at 51.50, to define that. And I could probably zoom in and get a more accurate look at it because we also have another hidden EMA there. So we'll just say 51.73 is where we're really looking to get to, right? But another thing that's very important to understand is not to get distracted by candles alone. So the next important thing to confirm the conditions that we really want to see, to start putting even the potential for new all-time highs in the equation, is this three, which is this white line here, actually cross back above this 19 and this last EMA here. So we're actually going to need the 19 to cross back above this little hidden EMA, and I'll zoom in so you can see it. And you can see this EMA here. So the 19 will have to get pulled back above here, and then this three and the blue line will have to get pulled back above too, right? And all this is going to take time. We can see how it's acting to this EMA now as resistance, and all this will play out over time, right? But the important thing is clear 51, about 51.50, 51.60, and get all, get above obviously the 19 here at about 50.80, and start dragging these lower EMAs, the 3 and the, I think I have mine actually on the 13, but the 3 and the 13 back above this 19 as well. So all this is going to take some time. Don't expect any of this to happen fast. But if we're looking at the current health of the market, we're above the 3, above the 9. Your short-term volatility averages are moving up. Your little more longer-term averages are moving up, but your 19 is still down. Your long-term averages are flat. So this is what you have going on as far as price action, right? We'll switch over to weekly, and we'll take a look at the weekly. And this is my most recommended chart. If you're going to look at this stuff, it's going to be on the weekly. All right, and we'll go back. So here we go. If I zoom out, because a lot of people need to see the perspective first, so we'll zoom out. We can see how our last big loss of the 19 was here. We came down, basically set our bottom, made an attempt at a recovery, but this is why I don't just simply have the 19 showing, right? I have these other EMAs. It's because I can visually see, without having to do much work of any, behind just sitting and forgetting it, where all my resistances are. And remember, I said, don't be distracted by candles alone. So when we had this recovery moment, right, I'm seeing 3 cross back over the 19. I know this is getting strong momentum at an attempt at a recovery. It goes up and it uses this EMA as its actual resistance, right? So we hit it, we fail it, but our short-term 3 is still moving upward, right? And so what you really want to see, if this thing was just going to pop off, you would have wanted to see this 3 cross over these moving averages, and we would have continued to see price go, right? But price eventually started rejecting off of these higher moving averages, right? Our 3 stalls out, and if we stay flat, that would have been great. Well, what happens? Your 3 actually crosses this price, is losing the 19. This is your exit, right? So we go down, set new bottoms, and make our attempt at a recovery again. I'm going to zoom in here because this is important. When I zoom in, we see during the recovery, right, the 3 passes, price gets back above the 19. Like, these is the moments that you're waiting for, right? But we quickly see that this blue line stalled out. 3 flattened out. So we know what's happening here, right? If we were looking at this back then, we know what's happening. So then all of a sudden we lose a 19, right? And that's your exits for your lower moves down, right? Get our recovery, 3 crosses. But what happens this time? Let's zoom in some more. This time we get our ace moment that we have been waiting all of this time for, as we've been tracking it, of 3 and a 9, or 13 in this case, because I'm maybe on 13, tweaked my algorithm 11. I'm on 11. So 3 and 11 actually crossed here, and bam, that's our boom moment. Now, how much strength is in that movement? You always have to gauge by these additional crosses. So 3 goes on to cross again and again and again, right? And it's steady giving fuel to this uptrend, because we're in a clear uptrend above 19, right? Your 11 crosses, right? But then kind of flattens. So now we see that around this moment, your 3 rejected off the EMA, went down and flattened out your movement, taking fuel from all of this, right? We come here, a quick little exit. Next week, it thankfully recovers, and we see where we're starting to get at this current time and moment, right? At this current time, we're back in an uptrend because we're above 19, right? Our 3 has came down and caught support kind of on the 11, right? And now our short-term direction is according to the uptrend. Our 11 is starting to turn uptrend, and our 19 is starting to turn uptrend. So all of our short-term trend direction is telling us over time we're working our way up, and all of our long-term averages are flat. So we're not, this is saying like, as we work in the time, we're going to start working into a negative direction. No, it's flat. And as these move up, these flats will actually start to angle up slightly, as similar to what we see here with the 19. So idealistically, in order to get into an environment where we can start looking for new all-time highs, what has to happen, right? And what you can look for to gauge this is price making it through these resistance, which are these higher EMAs, right? Similar to how we got here and stalled out, right, on the highest EMA. But importantly, you want to drag this white line, blue line, gold line back above all of these higher averages. And those are your, what I call your actual bull market conditions, right? All of this is still in a bullish, uptrend, I'll say, right? But you're not completely in bull market territory until these cross back over and you align these from lowest to highest in that order. And so you can kind of look back in time and see what that looks like, right? So if we go back in time, we can see what that looks like. And this is essentially that moment. So similar to where we're at now, right? We went up, hit our highest moving averages, failed, came back, kind of broke slightly under your 19, right? As the 3 flattened out, similar to exactly where we're at in this current moment of time. But here is where the 3, 11, and 19 all cross, right? And you're back in numeral in order. So from lowest to highest, 3, 11, 19, right? They're all going back in their correct order. And these are your bullish conditions. So this cross is what we're looking for in the real time moment back here when we get back over here. So we knew not to expect much here because look at the distance between the 19 and your highest here, right? This just visually tells you the health of the market and where we were at and how we were still struggling. But back over here, we now have this 19 moving up to try and cross and get there, right? So this is what we're looking for. Price action at 51.76 or so takes us out. We want to see these crosses. And if for some reason you do have negative price action, I'll go back to the monthly so you can see where your supports are at, and I'm gonna move on. Right here, as I said, we got EMAs acting as supports. When we last turned kind of in a down this trend over here in the long term, we caught this support. So up in these areas, I would say you kind of have, your potential supports. Worst case scenario, you definitely have a support way down here at 32, but we're not in an environment where that's kind of on the table. I just wanted to show y'all in case y'all wanted to see where these supports at. They're also always on your EMAs, right? So in this downtrend, supported here, came up here, caught a downtrend, supported here. All this was supported here. This caught this support as it moved down. This caught this support as it moved down, right? So it's going to accurately identify your resistances and supports. Interesting enough, right? I look back in time over here, and if anybody's wondering why this is over here, this is kind of my time prediction of when I think we might be in close to, at least getting back above this kind of like $40, $50, most recent high territory. So I figure if it's ever going to happen, it should happen around here. But that's not a prediction. That's just kind of an analysis. Remember I said about the crosses, right? And how they show you the market conditions. This was as we were working up towards the 2021 bull run, right? And we all know that the lawsuit happened here, December 20. But the interesting thing enough, right, it never brought the 3 back down below the 19. So it's much sell pressure happened in that one slight month. It never changed the trend, right? So this was easy to identify when we were back in this time because the trend stayed, right? Of course, you had this little dip above it because of the sell-off, right? But the trend actually held. And so it quickly recovered. Your 3 stayed above, your 11 stayed above, and it just fanned on out as it went up to its all-time high with all the EMAs in its proper order. And you obviously see the loss of it here. Of course, this is a lower exit because you're on a monthly time frame. But even if you were a conservative person, you'd had your clear exit here at 74 cents, catching your support here where you'd have bought it all back. And now, again, you're just hoping to get above this at about 51 cents. Get the 3 and the 9 to cross back above, and you have these same conditions you had over here. So we're in this kind of, if you're looking at fractal kind of thing, we're in this moment of time over here. And so if we can get back above here, get these 3 and 11s to cross back above here, then we have these conditions to move up. You don't have conditions for all-time high when you're under all these EMAs, because it's the average of the price. And so your average is working here, right? We're getting above the average over here. And so I'm going to move over to Bitcoin, and we're going to see essentially the same thing. And we'll see exactly how well this whole thing works. And we can tell in comparison, how is XRP doing to Bitcoin, right? By looking at this same pattern structure, right? We can kind of tell what asset is healthiest and what asset is weak, right? Because where is it at in time to the averages? So obviously XRP is below this 19 and struggling to get back above. Being up here is a sign of more strength. So let's go over to Bitcoin. And as we see on Bitcoin, right, clear indications of your breaks above. Of course, it's monthly chart, of course, but your clear indications back above or here. The only time you dip below was the COVID sell-off, quick recovery, completely stayed bullish this entire time until you had your exit at approximately 38,000. Never retraced, caught your low is support here on an EMA and got back here, and we see what stalled it, right? The 3 flattening out. If this 3 would cross back over here and this 11 cross back over here, Bitcoin would have the conditions for new all-time high. But your 3 flattened out right at your 19, your 11 stalled out, and that's what it's working with, right? So it's catching support here on the 3 now, which is healthy. It caught its lower support here on that 11, right, and working its way back up. So Bitcoin can get very strong if it gets back above here and gets its first extra gas by getting this 3 to cross over. You'll have a little more moment in time for the 11 to cross over, while it'll probably be, trying to test supports and all of that. And as soon as that 3 and 11 get back over, price gets over, then you'll have those conditions that the Bitcoin is waiting for. So it's showing real health here in comparison to kind of where XRP is struggling to get through, but Bitcoin's looking good. Even though it's in, slight of a monthly downtrend because it's below the 19, you can see where it's trying to work its way out. So it'll all be determined here. If it just continues to fail to 19 and establish a downtrend, we'll see it back over on the weekly before it show up here on the monthly. But this monthly gives you a great visual of where Bitcoin is, right? And so not far from some great conditions that are probably going to lead back to some all-time highs if something external doesn't end up wrecking the entire market. So but if it does, it'll all show up here. We'll go over to Ethereum. Oh, maybe I should have went to the weekly. Hold on, let me go back and look at the weekly on Bitcoin because I didn't do the weekly. Jump on over to the weekly. So, yep. Tells you another story that you don't want to miss. But as we came down here and obviously set these bottoms, we saw a cross out. We saw it test support just like XRP on the same moving average, bounced around, tested support here. I mean, this was resistance. I said support. Resistance, tested support here. Thankfully got back above the 19. Your 3 started rejecting even before it got to the 11. And all your start adding extra fuel as it started continuing upward crosses. So you have a cross here, cross there. Each one of these is adding fuel, right? Same thing here. You got a cross, adding fuel, stalled out. So if we see the 11, it kind of showed us how everything bogged down. So around here, your 11 flattened out, your 3 flattened out, and then you start getting fuel to the downside as the crosses start happening in the opposite direction. Best case thing that happened is you caught support basically on your 19 twice, right? So it caught support here, exactly on the 19, and all Bitcoin is trying to do here now is get back through this scrum of higher EMAs. And your 3 is kind of flat right now, so we're kind of neutral. You would ideally want to see that 3 pointing up as you're trying to work back through this higher EMAs. So all Bitcoin has to do is stay positive enough to turn this 3 up, turn your 11 up, and make it out of here. Ironically enough, this is around your same point, right? This highest EMA here is around your same point that you want to see a breakout over on the monthly. So your kind of clear error spot is around this, basically 27.8. Let's go back on the monthly and see exactly where it's at. So on your monthly, it's 27.6. So yeah, you want to get basically over 27.7. And it's confirming on both time frames that that's your breakout area. Of course, with the 3 crossing and ideally with the 11 crossing as well, but that'll take some time on a monthly chart. Over here, you'll get it confirmed a little quicker because the 3 will break out and your 11 will break above as well. It'll take a little more time to get the 19 above, but idealistically, in order for this to completely play out, and this is why I don't expect it to happen in any short time frame, the 19 also has to get crossed back up, and this average has to get crossed back in order for them to line up in the proper order to be completely bullish. So we'll see that play out in time. I think I have a little prediction here for all-time high on Bitcoin as far as where I'm trying to track analysis. It's not really a prediction per se, but where I'm doing some analysis, and this is my time frame for around the potential new all-time high for Bitcoin. Just a little sneak peek. Not a price prediction, but just an analysis on time based on these patterns. So tentatively, that's where I'm at for the record. All right. I'm going to jump over to ETH and kind of go through the market. But if you're looking at the historical performance of my method, right, we can kind of go back in time as a little sneak peek. And we can see like it was an obvious breakdown here. This is your exits. You got your crosses as well. Same thing with your recovery. Your recovery showed the crosses to clearly indicate you're back in bullish, and it literally stayed above the 19. You never had to exit until you had an all-time high. Clearly identified your entries, clearly identified your exits over here. When it lost the 19, you had your crosses that told you it was getting gas to the downside. It even identified your support here, right? Your recovery shows it by breaking above the 19 and crosses to go into a new all-time high, as well as your exit as it broke down past the 19 and crosses, went to test even a lower support, but accurately identified that as well. Here's your little difficult moments where you have these kind of like almost false signals, if you want to call them that. But if you're trading them, it doesn't matter because you're going to enter and exit on every pass. But we see broke above. This could have almost indicated conditions, right for a new all-time high. But the difference is we didn't get the 3. I mean, you got a little bit of break of the 3, so you could say you kind of got a 3, but you didn't really get the 3 crossing. It failed and turned back down, and you certainly didn't get the 9. And this is why I said in order to gauge the health of the market, you have to know where these lower EMAs are in relationship to these higher EMAs. It's very important. This clearly identified to me that, yes, we're in an important moment where we break back above. But until I get 3 and 11 in their proper order, I don't have conditions for a full bullish movement to the upside. They have to be in order. And so by crossing back, we started putting that fuel to the downside. So we lost price under 19. We got to cross back. And then it started crossing consecutive EMAs, picking up fuel each time it crosses, and you end up in these lower lows. Clearly identified your recovery here as price broke back above. And if I zoom in, you'll see that 11 came and crossed above. So you started getting gas to the upside. And here we are in real time. As those 11s are crossing more, giving it more gas. 3 is crossing, giving it more gas. And you just need to squeeze this 3, 11, 19, and this lower EMA back above there to have this. Hold on. Let's go back over here. Phenomenon that you have over here. Right. Well, not even here because the 19 never crossed under here. So these are what we're kind of looking at. Like eventually the 19 lost everything and got above this higher EMAs. These were your low lows, right? And then it accurately shows the recovery when the 19 passes back above the scrum, right? The higher EMAs. And that's your actual recovery. It's identified here as you tracking it, right? This is the start of it, breaking above, getting your 3 and 11. But you're not clearly out until you're back over here and you have your lineup 3, 11, 19, 38, 50. So all these are consecutive now if you look over here. And that's what we're waiting for in real time back over here. All right, we need to get all of this cross back up. All right, jump over to ETH. Similar dynamics, your last breakdown, your last crosses, easy trade. Scrum failed attempt at 3, even crossing back over, failed attempt at 3, crossing there, and price essentially. And there's your obvious recovery, right? As price just rides along 19. So ETH is a little stronger from a market perspective. It's kind of, I mean, almost really right there at the higher EMAs. Your 3 is not flat. Your 3 is actually angled up. Your 11 is down here a little flat. But yeah, ETH is a little stronger, but it's looking to get above here, cross, drag, cross this up, and there you go. So we're going to have some time. This is a weekly chart before all this plays out, but it's very healthy in that it's in this area. So it's showing strength to the market, right? If it was in a bad situation, right, price would be down here under the 19. You probably have these 3s and 11s crossing, right? And that's what an unhealthy asset would look like. So since I've kind of compared the 2 healthiest assets, we'll go back and look at XRP with that same perspective in mind, right? And we see we're not as healthy, right? Because we're not up here where ETH is at in Bitcoin, right? And we need to get these crosses up. But we are still positive in that the short-term direction is up, your 11 direction is up, your 19 is up. So short term on the weekly or in the now kind of moment, we're kind of showing more strength in Bitcoin in a way, right? And we need to just continue to hold this 19. And so we're in a strong case here, but to go full bull, we need to get all of this group back above here. But overall, good strength, right? Now let's start to work through some of these other assets. We'll start by ADA right now. And we see ADA has nowhere near the strength that XRP, Bitcoin, ETH has. It's not even above its 19, struggling to get above. Your 3 is still down here, right? Your 3 rejected here, couldn't even get across here on this last recovery. So this is a lot less strength when ideally this is where the healthy market assets are at. Up here, it would have been at 63. So even if it was fighting to get, in the XRP range, it would be at 54. But it's literally under 19 and 3 stalled, and you don't have a 9 or 11 cross. So this doesn't have anywhere near the strength, but trying, right? It gets back above here and gets this cross. It'll start trying to test these EMAs, and it can get additional crosses that give it strength to try to work out. But you can see visually real quick without having to do a lot of analysis, this one is not as strong as XRP, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are both stronger than them all, right? So we can go through and gauge the market by this pattern as we just move through assets, right? So it becomes real easy. We'll go over to Solana, right? Similar to ADA, right? Below, your 3 is below, your 11 is below. It's actually under its 3, so it's much weaker. But yeah, long way to go before it kind of got in the Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum range. I'm going to just continue to cycle through these for a second. Here's BNB, which is ironic, a pretty strong coin, right? So we look right here with the same algorithm and everything in mind. We see that this is already kind of in chronological order. Your 19 is already crossing over these higher EMAs. BNB actually, in a way, shows more strength than them all. It just needs to get back above its 19, right, which would be here. Obviously, the 3 would have to get back above and stop. So right now, in the short term, looking from a weekly chart, all of its momentum is actually carrying it down. We can see 3s here, 11 is pointing down. So it's got a lot of down. This 3 is actually crossing downward. And if this 11 crosses the 19, it's going to continue to push BNB down even more. So it's in a more downward direction over here. Obviously, right, it's under the 19 on a weekly. And we see the crosses going in that direction. So BNB's got a little problem going over here. But overall, right, from a macro perspective, it's a little stronger in that its 19 is kind of already tried to cross back above the higher EMAs, and your 3 and 11 are already above all of the lower EMAs. So it's a little more overall strength, but in a downward direction, right? So it could lose that and change everything. But potentially, if it recovers, it's showing actual more overall strength in the market than even Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you could probably see that from a long-term perspective if I zoomed out how it did during this whole situation. So obvious breakout moment was way back over here, got above the 19 and stayed, had a breakdown here, tested its lower support, quickly recovered, and this big breakdown was here, and it got weak, broke through, tried to recover, rejected off the 19, got even weaker until it just fell off the map. But your 19 never got drugged below the highest EMA. And this is how I can tell that it had overall more strength, even though in this part of the move, it was, weak as hell. It just lost everything, right? What it didn't do is it didn't drag this 19 under the highest EMA, which is this white line here. And so it actually rested right on it here. And that rest caused the recovery that crossed the 3 back above and got it back above its weekly 19, where it kind of held into this recent down move. So it actually kind of held good during this area with a great strong sign of strength. But yeah, I'm going to just continue to go through a few assets here. XDC. Take a look at that. Clear breakdown, just lost everything here from its obvious breakout moment. You can see here where it's at in the now, because that's what we're focusing on. Made a nice little move at recovery here. 311 crosses, price above, even got above the scrum with your 3. Your 11 failed. Your 3 started adding all this downward pressure, right? We can obviously see it, and now it's crossing back all in the opposite direction. So 3 is down, 11 is down, 19 is down. It's not showing strength at all, while other assets, as we clearly see, are in an uptrend. So this is a bad sign. And you would obviously see the recovery because it would break back above the 19. The 3 would cross back up, and you'd be looking for your 11 to do similar. But in this current now, right, this is showing weakness, and it can't be said any other way. I'm going to cycle through a few more assets here. Algo, what we got going with algorithm or whatever it's called. Algorand. Zoom in on the now, and we show weakness, right? Even when it tried to recover, 3 failed out, 11 stayed downward. All this 3 is straight down, 11 straight down, everything, even your long term. Like, this is a crashing pattern. I would not be in Algorand right now. So for the record, this looks ugly. It's even set new lows. So like everything here, your long-term averages and short-term averages, all telling you it's going in a downward direction, setting new lows. Algorand is in trouble. So yeah, let's get off of there. There's nothing to see. All right, H-bar for the H-barians. Yeah, it's an easy coin to trade, by the way, if you're using the 19. Kind of give y'all little details here, because I know it's a lot of H-barians out there. But you go back over here, you see your clear breakout moment, right? Price gets above 19, 3 and 11 get above, all in consecutive order, leads you to all-time highs. You say, okay, then what, right? Clear breakdowns happen over here. Clear supports where you buy back. Your clear recoveries where you want to be all in, set you off to new all-time highs. Your obvious breakdown, right? You lose the 19, you lose the 3 cross, right? Puts you buying at lower supports where you're making money. And when you start the recovery, you get a 3 fail and you get 11 cross downward at the same time. This is bad news. And you stay in a downward. You never have to get back in until you get way down here, right, at your lows. So we say, what is the recovery looking like for H-bar? Bam, we zoom in. Price broke back above, 3 cross. Did get an 11 cross right about here. This gave you all this energy that got you in this 9-cent area, but it rejected off of this higher EMA because it couldn't make it through it all, and it failed it, right? And so now you're crossing back down, You got your 3 crossing down. You got your 11 crossing down. You got your 19 and all of your lower averages all pointing down. So H bar from a token chart perspective is looking very, very weak. At kind of similar to Algorand, everything's pointing down. Long-term averages, short-term averages. In order for this to recovery, it would need to get back above here about 621. You need 3s crossing back up. You need this 11 to cross back up. Like, it's got a lot of work to do over here on H bar, obviously showing lower, going in the lower direction. Let's go find the support on this though. I didn't have enough trading history to even find a good support on a monthly. Right, so this is again bad business because you don't have anything to catch price here, right? Even if I go up on a longer time frame, there's no support because there's no higher EMA in these ranges. So this could lead to who knows what, right? I don't like being in assets that look like that. Like if you were to compare that to XRP, right? Just to kind of give you an example here, like on a monthly chart, if I'm jumping up to a higher time frame, I should always be able to find some support. Because when an asset is in the worst position is if ever under its lowest or under its highest EMA from a numerical standpoint, which would have been in this area, right? You don't want to be in those moments, right? Like over here, these are your under your lowest EMAs. Like it doesn't get any weaker than that. So you always want to have EMAs, higher number EMAs, under your prices. At least you have some support. These the low caps at this moment that we were looking at just didn't have any support. Those bad business. Let's take a look at Quant. That'll be the next thing up. Obviously it doesn't have a lot of price history, so our monthly is not going to tell us much, but we do know that from a monthly kind of long-term perspective, we don't have any support. We're below the 19, we're below the 3, we're below the 11. Our 3 rejected here. 11 stayed kind of flat the whole time. 19's been downward for a long time. So Quant's not looking good. We had one little push up here where you got to cross and stalled out. But let's go look on the weekly, see if we can get a little more information. Let's see what we got here. I hope my mic is on. I haven't done these videos with no mic before. All right, so we good. And I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. I hope people can get something out of this. Quant, right? So bam, we'll go back over here in time. We'll obviously point out price above 19 shows your recovery. You got your 3 cross, added some fuel. As it rolled through time, you got your 11 cross to add more fuel, right? As it was actually breaking down under 19 here, scaring you, but your 3 caught the 19. So stop that from being more to the downside. Price back above, 3 above, 11 above. Bam, you got your run. Your 3 cross higher EMA gave it more fuel. Cross here gave it more fuel. As your 9 crossed here to give it more fuel, stalled out. Your 3 started crossing downward, giving it more fuel to the downside till you ultimately break under the 19 with crosses and you get back into this stuff, right? It recovers, cross up, tested the highest EMA, fails. What happens when it fails? Price breaks back below the 19, cross down. Now we're in no support with everything kind of pointing in a downward direction. 3, downward direction. 11, downward direction. 19, downward direction. 38, downward direction. All your higher time frames are slightly downtrend to them. So Quant is moving against the recovering market. It's not a good sign. At a minimum, you would want it above this 3, and it's even failing that. So, you'll see a recovery if it happens because it'll get above here and you'll watch it. And of course, this is an important point, 118. But right now, this is downward trend in a recovering market. It's not looking good. I always show the DXY because for the DXY, it's a indicator of what crypto is doing. So as we see, the dollar right now is doing just the opposite of the crypto market, right? It's above its 19. 3 is crossing in an upward direction. 11 is crossing in the upward direction. Your 38 is starting to go in the upward direction. This upward direction for the dollar is stalling out crypto in general. And so that's why you see your more short term for Bitcoin and Ethereum are down. It's because it's responding to this strong upward movement for the dollar after having bounced off of its lowest EMA. So when I said this stuff works across all asset classes, right? Your dollar, if you're trading it, same signal, same algorithm, right? You knew to short the dollar here. You got your cross to continue to stay in your short. You got your 11 cross to stay in your short. And you know your supports are where you know, your lower supports is where you don't want to go against the market. So you either buying up in here, right? Because at some point, the probability goes up of recovery at your lowest EMAs. So yeah, this is good buy areas, right? Comes up here, loses 19 again, 3 stalls out, 11 stalls out. You know this is good short action again. You get back in your short, and you know what your buy area is, right? Your lowest EMA. So whether you're buying here, whether you're buying here, right? Great buys that eventually turn profitable as your 3 starts to cross back up, adding fuel to your long position. Now you're comfortably above the 19 and a long that you took out here, right? And you're just comfortable. You're like, this thing is going to continue to yield me some profit, right? As it continues to break up this way and carry all this up this way. And if it doesn't, you'll see back again where your exit will be when it loses this stuff again, or this 3 is starting to cross back over, you know, all of it will be here, but it's obviously same strategy that I use, and it'll, you know, obviously showing those signals from the same strategy, right? Your obvious, I need the long, crosses up as it, you know, test each one of these as resistance. Look how it's consecutively going up. Test it as resistance, fail a little bit, go up to the next one, test it, go up to the next one, test it, find your support, right? Boom, on 19, test it, cross, test it till you get breakout. 3s broke out, price broke out, 11s broke out, 19s broke out, and on to new all-time highs, right? And this is the dollar. So again, you can trade anything with the same algorithm. All you need to do is have it and just look at it, literally any asset, right? There's your short, never threaten the 19 again until you got to your obvious low, your lowest low, right? You never would have traded back in because you had no signal to, never broke back above the 19, right? Clear, easy trade. And this is on DXY, right? Clear recovery, clear cross, you long it, bam, you have a little moment of trading here where it gets ugly. You have a little moments in here where it gets a little ugly because you're making trades. But it's still the same thing. Now, dollar has so much information, long trading history. Sometimes it's a lot easier to go over to the monthly and make it easier to trade, less trades. Theory stays the same, right? So if we go back over here, oops, your clear breakout moment, crossed everything up, kind of like what we're hoping crypto does. Gets your 19 back above the highest EMAs and gets back in consecutive order, 3, 11, 19, 38, etc., right? Same thing. You lost it here with your crosses, went and got under support. Your clear recovery was identified here, going back above with your crosses and getting back in order. So this is what I was saying when I say back in order that we're looking for in crypto, right? We're hoping that the 19 gets drugged. Well, over here, it didn't even get drugged down, right? It was way back in time. But eventually, what I'm saying is you're waiting to see this lineup of numbers in the right order. 3, 11, 19, 38, 60. I have to bring my numbers up here because I don't even know where I'm at. 56, yeah. 65, 75, 85, 110, 126. And so that's full bullish, right? When you have them all in the proper order, price above 19. Only thing here you don't have in the current time is you don't have the 3 back above the 11. So 3 crosses 11 and dollar look like it could get back in a condition that could put you back in the 111s, etc., right? Like it's showing hella strength over here on this dollar. Rejected off the 19. Could suck some air out of crypto, y'all. So this is a thing to keep watching on. But the dollar is showing obvious signs of strength if we're looking at it from a 19 perspective. So I would be like long in the dollar from a chart perspective. Yeah, let's go look at one other non-crypto asset and how it performs against the 19. We'll just take a look at gold, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Gold just had its more recent recovery here, back above the 19. 11 is back above. It's holding above the 3, so you got a complete lineup here. 3, 11, 19. Everything's showing upward direction, even from a long time frame. So gold is showing strength to me. Like that's a sign of extreme strength. Everything's pointing in the upward direction except for this immediate short term, but it's even getting back above that short term 3 as it flattened out. So at least this is not in a downward direction and price stays above it. It's going to give that some fuel to move up. So gold here is looking strong. And if we look at the historical performance, its low was the lowest EMA. Its recovery was a back above with a 3 and an 11 cross, stayed above with no signals to get out. One test on the 19 accurately as support, got back above, you stayed in, had a little trade here, stayed in, traded out, made you some more gold, etc., etc. And if I squeeze this out, you can see like the algorithm works to perfection no matter what the asset is, right? So I zoom out, we see it clear, get this out of the way. And if you want to see the numbers, there's your opportunity to use all the same numbers. Clear breakdown, short gold, you made a killing, right? Right around your lowest support. And it kind of didn't stop on your monthly there. So if I were to go to like a multi-month, it would probably identify that support somewhere. Yep. So if you want to find where your supports are, right, and you have enough data, comes right down to your basically support here. You still got your clear recovery, clear support on the 19, and big strength long term, right? It's above everything in order. All your higher time frames are even pointing up. So this thing's just showing strength, 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 strength over strength for your gold. So good news for you gold buyers, right? Things looking good. But yeah, I was just showing from a historical perspective how easily it identifies these, right? So there's your moment where you got your 19 crossing back above your higher EMAs, prices with crosses as it went on. And this is what we're looking for to get out of in crypto. So going back to XRP before I close it out, we'll get a quick look. We should have been going back to XRP. There we go. Now I kind of got it zoomed out, and we'll keep the big picture in mind. This is a monthly chart, though, but goodness. But yeah, we still see we're in a good place. Now I'm going to go back down to a weekly. We'll end it out there. Yep. So this is where we're at, and this is what we're trying to work through. So none of this is happening fast, but we are in strength. We're above. 3 is angled up. 11 is angled up. We obviously got resistances to make it through, and clear skies is way up here. So be patient, but everything's looking good, right? We've seen other assets that don't have this strength, and that have downward action, right? So we're looking good, people. It's nothing to be, it's all positive from this perspective, right? Here's your clear breakout. None of your 3s cross back over. They're all in upward direction. So yeah, we're looking good in this uptrend. And we see what my little pseudo estimate is over here. So yeah, I'll catch y'all probably on some lives or Twitters or something down the road. If y'all have any assets that y'all want me to pull up and take a look at that I obviously didn't pull up here, I can put it through the test and we can take a look at it and see what it does. But yeah, happy investing. I hope everyone's having a great Memorial Day weekend, I believe it is. Yep. And peace. All to the 19. Have a good one.